in Marvel versus Capcom, it was the Sentinel, the Hulk, and Iron Man, just completely overpowering.
Welcome, Story of the Fight listeners. Today with us, we have former WBC, WMC, Nikon Tom champion, coach at Resistance Fitness Center in Pleasanton, California. Currently one of the most exciting fighters on the one championship roster in the world, really, Will, right? And all around one of the nicest guys we've had the pleasure of talking to so far, Mr. Silky Smooth, Eddie Abasolo. How you doing, Eddie?
I'm good, bro. Man, you killed that intro, bro.
Hey, let's go. Good start so far to the podcast. Hey, well, we'll get started right off the bat. Silky Smooth.
Yeah.
It ranks up there in nicknames. It's simple yet effective, right? Who gave you that nickname?
Actually, it's probably it's an old nickname that I brought back when in my first gym that I started at, the Warriors in Vallejo.
Okay.
I was just pretty good at evasion, right? Like making things miss almost naturally. And then my teammates would just say, "Man, you're silky smooth," right? Oh, first they were quoting Billy Madison when he's in the bathtub and he's like, "Conditioner is better," right? And then they would just call me Silky Smooth, like as a joke, jokingly, right? It was fun. And then like I remember when I was in London, they asked me for a nickname, and I just threw it out there. You know, I didn't think it would stick or anything. It was just like something like spur of the moment. And I was like Silky Smooth, and then the way he introed me, it just kind of, and then my performance that night, it just kind of stuck with me, you know. And so.
Man, knowing it came from Billy Madison makes it so much better.
Way better.
So much better. I didn't know that. Yeah. We're like we're sticklers for nicknames, both of us, and we're like, a good nickname can do so much, and if it has like a good story behind it too, it like
even better.
Even if it was a good nickname without the story definitely pushes it. That's hilarious. Yeah. When did you go to London for that? You said that was your first fight?
No, that was 2017.
Okay.
And I don't know do you remember what fight it was?
Like 7.
It was probably my 7th pro fight.
Okay.
And I was out in London, and then also I remember that fight. I was just winging it that fight. Like I was having fun because my daughter asked me to come out to Goofy Goober.
Nice.
From the SpongeBob movie. That was my walkout song. You know, I told the announcer because they asked for it, a nickname, and then things just kind of like blew off from that time.
So London in 2017. I know you fought in Ireland before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Singapore, Thailand, a bunch in California, obviously.
Yeah.
What is like the most what was the best travel experience you have that's like attached to a fight?
Hey, recently
you've been all over the place.
Recently in Nicaragua too. I don't think you fought there, right? But you're a traveling man.
Yeah, I was in Nicaragua doing a seminar. Yeah, and I was out there.
That's very cool. What would you say your favorites?
We'll come back to that one because I love Nicaragua, but probably my favorite. It's probably when I fought Sitthichai. That's probably because I fought Sitthichai, who's a Thai legend, someone I've been watching for the majority of my journey as well. And it was in Thailand, in Lumpini, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it was just crazy. It was surreal for me.
That must be crazy, like being a Muay Thai fighter. I know Muay Thai in the Bay Area is pretty big, but like being a Muay Thai fighter from America, I'm sure you've had in your career as you're growing and stuff, especially early on, like dreams of fighting in Thailand, especially like Lumpini, like you said, especially that's got to be pretty crazy. Yeah, that's got to be pretty nuts.
It was, man, and it's like it's funny because there's two sides of me. Since I love the sport, like I'm I'm not just a fighter, right? Who's striving to be one of the best to ever do it. But I'm also a huge fan, equally a huge fan. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
whenever I'm training for a fight, especially if it's someone who I've watched, or I know, or I've encountered throughout my journey, whatever, it's just it's like I got to put that to the side a little bit and just not be a fan for a minute, you know?
Yeah, how do you separate that? I'm sure that has to be like a conscious decision when you're fighting a legend like Sitthichai, right? Where it
Yeah,
is maybe somebody that you've looked up to, or there is kind of like that honor aspect when you're looking at somebody across the ring, right? Like, how
yeah.
do you separate that? Is that easy to do as you progress through your career, or is it always kind of something that's difficult to do?
I wouldn't say it's difficult. I would say it's exciting. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
like people that I watch, to give me inspiration, or just someone who's fun to watch, or whatever reason I'm watching them. I'm I'm always wondering, like, okay, uh, how would I fight this person? You know, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And how would I dance with them? How would a dance go with my style and their style? And you know what I mean? Because how they say styles makes fights. You know, and it's just it's like a roller coaster that I would love to ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
When
that
I
Yeah,
makes sense.
I always think the same thing when I watch competitive eaters, man. I'm like, can I keep up with them? How much would I be able to eat compared to them? I'm completely out of shape, unlike yourself, man. Uh, I'm wondering though, what was there a moment like either a fighter that you got to fight or Lumpini Stadium? Like, what was a moment where you're like, man, like I made it? Because like we said, you're one of the most exciting fighters on the roster, right? You're
yeah,
one of the most exciting Muay Thai fighters in the world. Like,
yeah.
when was that time where you're like, this is it? Like, I got here.
Um, Probably, I don't know, because I never truly feel like I made it, you know?
Really?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever I reach a certain milestone, it's more like the work has just begun. You know what I mean?
Always hungry.
Yeah, because it's one thing to get somewhere, but to prove that you belong there, you know what I mean? Because everyone, like every dog has his day. Someone can reach and touch a high height, but maintaining it, that's something special. So it's like when I get somewhere, um, and this is just me arguing with myself and talking to myself. It's like, man, I you can't be a fraud. You know what I mean? Now you got to prove the real work starts. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Dude, you
especially
have no idea how deep that is, though, man. Because we're talking about fighting right now, but you can really use that in any aspect of life, right? Whether it's a promotion at work and you're like, okay, I got promoted. Now what do I do?
yeah,
Like, you don't just sit back and relax. Like, you work harder to prove, like, hey, I was promoted for a reason,
yeah,
right? So that mentality that you have can actually just span way beyond fighting, too, man. That's so deep.
I agree, man. Because
I'm getting chills right now. I'm a
now
nerd.
now that now that you say it, that kind of relates to when we opened up our gym. Me and my buddies, right? Um, it's always been a dream of mine to have my own gym, and then it's like when we opened it, same thing. It's like, okay, now it's one thing to just have a gym. There's many gyms, but now it's like the real work starts. Like we gotta prove that we're relevant, you know.
Well, I think I that's like not just that aspect of fighting, but I think fighting as a whole, you can really boil it down to a number of things and then apply those same things to like everything in life.
Yeah.
Like not just staying hungry, things like that, but even just like the discipline to get to a fight,
Mm,
overcoming obstacles that may have happened early in the fight. Like there's so many things in fighting that you can then extrapolate and add to every aspect of life. Like everything can kind of be boiled down to a fight if you really like try to think about it,
yeah,
Super interesting stuff.
I agree. And I mean, we say it subconsciously all the time. I'm fighting to save this relationship. I'm fighting for to get this job. This person's in the hospital fighting for their life. It's
Mhm.
constant, like wins and losses happening in one fight, and yeah, it can be related. And I feel like that's why martial arts, not just Muay Thai, but martial arts or just a craft, because that's what I've come to learn too. It's not just martial arts, but anything that you take an interest in that's like a craft, painting, cooking, whatever, they all boil down to the same principles, rhythm and timing and like everything, everything.
Man, I hope a lot of people watch this episode because this is I'm telling you, man, just listening to you, this stuff's inspirational. I absolutely love it. And if you don't mind, I'd love to pivot real quick to just one as an organization, right? Because there's a lot of organizations out there. You see UFC, PFL now, is combined with Bellator.
Yeah.
But at one championship, Will and I, Will's been watching one forever. I've been getting so into one now, especially as I watch fighters like yourself and I see how exciting and action-packed one always is. For you, what differentiates one championship from all the other organizations?
They got the best Muay Thai fighters, some of the best Muay Thai fighters on the planet. I mean, not just Muay Thai fighters, but I'll just say martial artists, because they cover so many different martial arts. All their fighters are it's hard to say because all the fighters are great. You know what I mean? All the fighters are great.
Yeah.
No matter who I get matched up against, I know I'm going to have a tough fight on my hands. There's no one that's not a tough fight,
Well, it's funny too, like as you pivot to one, like one of the things that they talk about, like their core values or whatever, right, of the company itself. And it's like, we want to put a display of, I think it's like honor, respect, humility. It's like a number of things, all pretty much like that. And before having you on, like I've gone back and tried to watch as many interviews as I can, just like learn as much as I possibly can about you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't know if I've seen a fighter or a person that like exemplifies the core values that one like puts out there. You know what I mean? Like they don't. And then on top of that, like Romero said, just so exciting. Like the fights are crazy that you're in. Like I don't understand. Even like the first fight, I know there was issues with like, I mean, they cut weight differently with one, right? Like the weight cutting is completely different. So it's like, I would imagine as a fighter who's had a number of fights with more, I guess, traditional weight cutting systems, you kind of have a feeling of what weight class you fight at. And then you come to one and it's like, I don't know, do I fight up a weight class? Do I fight down a weight class? Like it's so different than everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So even in your first fight, it's like, all right, it might have been a loss, right? But you could tell like this is probably not the weight class that Eddie should be at. You should probably be a little bit lower, right? But even that fight, it's like you're undersized in it, but like, god damn, it was crazy. It's like it's nuts, man.
Yeah.
When did you have you always had I mean, I watched I don't know if it was your final amateur fight. It must have been close to your final amateur fight, where you got a TKO stoppage with a doctor stoppage, and you elbowed through the elbow pad.
Yeah, that was my first amateur title, like California.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Has it always just been that? Has it always just been very violent and very elusive head movement? And like, has it always been your style like that?
Pretty
Just
much.
Naturally?
Yeah, pretty much.
Crazy, dude.
And it's funny how my style kind of came about. The fun way I feel about it is, how X-Men, the mutants, they just all of a sudden start having things happen around them. And this is when they first get their powers as they're turning into a teenager, and then it's just like, okay, I don't know what the hell's happening. Crazy shit's happening. They go to Professor X to try to control their natural abilities. Like me, I had a real bad flinch response when I started. I would flinch heck hard, and I would just flinch out the way sometimes. Sometimes I would flinch into it, but I would flinch hard, and then I tried to take that and just control which direction I flinch when I do flinch.
That makes sense.
And then just watching that, counter fighters are what made me fall in love with Muay Thai, like Samart, Samrak, and tricky fighters, like Sitthichai, like the beauty when you watch them, whether they win or lose, it's you can watch it over and over like it's your favorite.
It's art.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing too. I think with Muay Thai, I mean, here in America, it isn't as popular as it should be, and I do think one is doing a good job of like shipping an MMA package to Americans, but sneaking in this super exciting 4-ounce Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these MMA fans who are watching for the MMA, they see these fights and they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
Yeah.
But one of the other beautiful things about Muay Thai is like with boxing, as soon as you lose like 3 fights, people are like, we don't need to pay attention to this boxer anymore. And MMA is kind of starting to get like that a little bit more, where people are more focused on being undefeated.
Mm.
Or in Muay Thai, like you fight so much that it's like you're gonna lose some, and nobody really,
Gonna happen.
as far as fans go, no one really cares if you have losses on your record, right? So you can have those performances where you can appreciate the art more than the outcome, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Muay Thai is special in that way.
Yeah.
Not every sport's like that.
Yeah. I agree, and that's why I love Muay Thai. Because it's just about your performances. Each performance is like a painting, and if you perform well, that fight will almost last forever.
Oh, I love it.
Dude, that
By the way-
Luke Leeson fight is gonna last forever.
Yeah.
That fight
By the
lasts
way,
forever.
you had me at X-Men, right? So now I'm just wondering real quick, which one was your favorite X-Men? Because it sounds like you watched it back in the day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Based off my style, yes.
Okay.
Who-
And who was your
who's
favorite X-Men?
Nightcrawler.
Okay.
Nightcrawler's
That's a
sick.
solid choice.
Yeah.
I was always told I was weird because I love Sabretooth.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Good.
That's my guy, though. That's my guy. Just back to the fighting real quick. Sorry. I go off on tangents sometimes. But you were once quoted saying, the fear and the anxiety is what helps keep me sharp.
Yeah.
Right. And so you put all these exciting fights. You still have some of that fear and some of that anxiety going into preparing for fights as well. Or is it just when you're stepping in?
Yeah. I feel it. A healthy amount, though. A healthy amount. It's like salt. Just the right amount. Sometimes it's just a pinch. You don't need a lot of fear or anything like that. And it's the fear that comes naturally. I don't look for it or try to hold on to it. Every single person, damn near every single person, if you don't feel it, you're drop dead crazy. But every person has a little bit of nervousness or anxiety or whatever going into a fight, making the walk. But that's what makes it special, is that feeling. The fact that we're doing something that gives us that level of that rush.
Adrenaline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people go through life and don't put themselves in a position to feel that level of nerves and happiness, because it's a roller coaster. You know what I mean? Of emotion. It's not just nervousness. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. Just like when you're waiting for a roller coaster, you're standing there with your friends and you're next in line and you're shaking. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to fucking do this. I don't want to do it. All right, let's do it. You know what I mean? It's like that. And most people go through life and never get to feel that, but that's the high that I go for every time I'm going into a fight and making the walk and just everything, trying to enjoy everything, from walking into the back room, getting my hands wrapped, training, even the weight cutting, all that stuff. Because I know I'm going to miss it when it's gone.
Yeah, and I think if you can find a way to appreciate, and if you can find a way to enjoy those things that most people hate, it probably is a good thing in the back of your mind the next time you're in a situation where you start to have those feelings and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this. You can call back and be like, no, I enjoy this process. I enjoy the whole thing, the good and the bad, the lead up and the actual event itself. I feel like there's just so many life lessons that you can like back to the beginning, you can just like pull all those things and apply them to everything, not
Yeah.
just fighting, right?
Yeah. And it's the small disciplines, you know, the small things. Greatness is a lot of small things done well, you know. It's just being disciplined on the small things.
I love it.
Man, I
love it.
think it would be a travesty, I think, if you didn't open that gym and start also training other fighters, because I feel like the fight game is so, obviously it's very physical, but it's so mental at the same time. And
Yeah.
like it seems like you have such a good understanding of like all facets of it. And obviously like nobody has it all understood, right?
Yeah.
That's like part of the journey, is to try to understand as much as you can.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have gotten to the point where you're at, and you're also then, I'm assuming, imparting that on the people you're training, I'm sure it goes a long way for them. It must make a big difference.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, man, because, you know, some people come through that gym and I could teach them the same thing I teach some of our pro fighters, our high level amateur, just all I teach the same thing across the board, because it is a basic rule. You know, it is a life fundamental, and some people are just passing through, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
whether because they're running from something, searching for something, or want to be a part of something. If we teach them like how to manage life to a degree, like, you know, nothing's 100%, but way to approach life like fighting, they leave the gym and then go off to do what they do better. And then when I run back into some people I haven't seen in months, they're like, hey, you know, this is what's going on in my life and this and that, you know, whatever it may be. And it's just like fighting, how, you know, they'll bring it up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when we know we've done our job, you know.
Teaching
That's
life
gotta feel
lessons.
good.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
gotta
Hey,
feel good.
so I know you're a father, right? Just a quick question. What's your favorite like fatherhood moment?
It's like, how am I supposed to answer that, dude? How am
I
I
know it's
supposed
a
to
tough
think of
one.
something on the
I know
spot?
it's a tough one, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I love our listeners getting to know more than just fighting, you know, from the fighters that we interview.
It's not just, there were many moments, but one moment was when my daughter was in preschool, right? And it was bring your dad to work. I mean, to school day, right? I wasn't the most qualified as far as like, you know, some people were. I would just shooting off the top of my head, you know, CEO or manager here, or you know what I mean, like
Executives, like,
successful in other areas, you know. But I was the coolest dad there.
Yeah.
I had, my daughter wanted me to bring my belts, so
oh, nice.
you know,
Oh,
little
imagine.
school kids like, oh, you know what I mean. And she was the coolest person that day as well. You know
That's
what I
cool.
mean? So that's one that I'll always remember. You know,
That's a core memory, man. So anybody could be in there in their suits, and you're walking in with your WBC, you know, like with all these belts, and you're like, I could kick your ass, I could kick your ass, just going down the line.
in sweats too. You know, just like,
It's That's
Yeah, they
awesome.
just walked out of the office. I just got done sparring. Sorry, I'm late, guys.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Man, I want to bring it back to kind of to X-Men really quick. I saw on a podcast you mentioned that way back in the day, I think it was your wife's brother and his friends used to all do Street Fighter tournaments. So you guys would always be playing with them as they're training and stuff, and you learned a bunch about Street Fighter. Were you guys playing Marvel versus Capcom, where they had like X-Men characters and Marvel characters mixed in with the Street Fighter characters?
no.
Okay, they're
Just
bringing
straight
it
Street
back.
Fighter.
Street.
Oh wait.
Who's
No, it was. Yeah.
those are the good old days.
I think we played both. We played because they would do a whole bunch of tournaments. So they would play Marvel versus Capcom, they would play Tekken, and they would play Street Fighter. Like just the Street Fighter.
All right, who are your go-tos? Who are you playing
Good
as?
question. Good question.
It
I
happened.
know it's probably a long time ago.
My go-to in Street Fighter was Ken.
Okay.
In Tekken, it was Eddie Gordo.
Okay.
And in Marvel vs. Capcom, it was the Sentinel, the Hulk, and Iron Man. Just completely overpowering.
No Cyclops. Cyclops was the shit,
Cyclops
man.
was dope. Cyclops
Yeah.
was
And you said your wife used to play with you too?
Yeah, we all used to play.
Okay, wife's characters. Do you remember your wife's characters?
She was Chung Li.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I like
Classic.
Yeah, and I think it was also Eddie Gordo. Oh no, Christy.
it.
Is that her? Is that her? Like, no, I don't know Eddie
Yeah,
Gordo.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Good stuff. By the way, great choice on Ken. Our producer Rich and I have played like the original Street Fighter Turbo plenty of times.
Yeah.
And look, I won't say how it's always resulted. Okay, maybe I have more wins. I don't know. I wasn't keeping track, but Ken was always my go-to. He's probably shaking his head in the background right now.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Did you have anything else, Will?
Let's see. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about actually two more things. Another thing you mentioned is that sometimes like you got a bit of a sweet tooth, and sometimes I don't know if you still do this or you used to. If you're in camp and you're having like a craving, you'd go to Walmart and just check out the ice cream aisle and just look at the ice cream, and that was enough to get your fix.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, what are the flavors? What is the fix? Like, what are you eyeing in the ice cream aisle?
Neapolitan, chocolate. What are we doing here? Good question, bro.
I'm the Ben and Jerry's for sure.
Oh,
Just looking at all the different flavors, and then I'll go down to the non-dairy part and look at those flavors. I look at the bars, the Its, the just everything, and then maybe I'll stroll down the chip aisle too, because chips are my bugaboos during camp as well.
All right, what's the tier list then? Top 3 chips, top 3 ice creams. Like, what's your order?
For chips, I'd have to say it's the spicy Cool Ranch.
oh,
Hot Cheetos.
standard. I like it.
Yeah, and the Fritos honey twists.
You're
I don't
going with
think
some
I've even had
exotic
those.
flavors. The number 1 and number 3 are different.
Yeah,
We got a
Okay.
connoisseur.
yeah.
I got it.
Connoisseur.
Hey, every time a new flavor comes out, like my wife will tell you, I gotta try it. I gotta try
That's
it.
my wife. Sometimes she'll be like, "Man, they came out with this one chip flavor and it was so good, but it was like a limited run. You'll never get it again."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Dang, stock up.
gotta
Stock
stock
up.
up.
Why not?
That's
Oh,
so
man.
funny. The last thing that I wanted to ask, Younes Rabah was just he didn't fight, but he was just over there with Nick Atkin talking about moving up to featherweight, and he called you out specifically. And I saw that you put on Nick's, or you commented on it maybe, or Nick featured your story responding to it. I don't know if there's anything you could talk about. Is that a fight that is in the works, or is it just you two calling each other out right now?
It is what it is right now.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Understood.
We're just ruffling each other's feathers right now. You know what I mean? Like that. That's all it is.
That's a fun fight, man. What do you think about him as a fighter? Did you watch his fights with Semipet?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's aggressive. He's long. And yeah, seems like a fun fight for me. I'm always getting these 6'2" man. Everybody is 6'2" that I fight. Well, except for Sitthichai, but everyone, all these tall dudes, man. I must be short for my weight class or something, but I'm slowly building a recipe for tall dudes,
Dude,
So,
those elbows in close, especially in that Sitthichai fight where you get in tight and you just start throwing like 4 elbows in a row.
yeah.
And he was just like, "Oh fuck, I gotta back up."
Hey,
Nasty stuff, man.
because no, you don't expect for someone to just be like,
Yeah.
just keep them. Because you'll probably expect one and touch flesh, but it's just like after.
That's like that Street Fighter spamming. You keep on hitting the same button and you're like, oh, what do I do?
It's like you in my face. I'm just gonna keep throwing.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Eddie, Hogan Senior High, right? Multi-sport student.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of fighting, favorite sport?
Outside of fighting, my favorite sport,
or maybe favorite sport that you played in high school, maybe.
Okay, I would have to say wrestling.
Okay.
Wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, smooth transition, I guess. Not going from the wrestling to the mixed martial arts.
Yeah. Wrestling, man, that really there ain't no sport like wrestling. There's no conditioning like wrestling. Like oh my gosh, it's just so crazy. It's so crazy in wrestling. Like,
I think that's probably one of those things too. Like a lot of people, if they didn't, they talk about it all the time. You hear it. It's like one of the things that gets talked about all the time. But like wrestling will get you to like a dark place physically, and you still have to keep going. And that's probably a pretty significant like asset that you bring from your background, having gone through that, especially while you're still like developing, right? And if you're doing it in high school, you're still developing. So like being able to, even if it's subconsciously, like I've been in dark spots where maybe some people would quit and I kept going.
Yeah.
And that probably, I mean, well, even just in the Luke fight, he dropped you. And then within, I think, was it the same round that you dropped him in?
Yeah, it was the same round.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, basketball doesn't get you that,
Yeah.
Yeah. Soccer doesn't get you that. You learn how to flop. That's about it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well,
I would prefer like things like that not to happen.
Yeah.
But the fact that they do happen, we all say what we would do in a certain circumstance. You know what I mean? But we never truly know until we're in place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just to know that that's the first time I've ever got knocked down, really. Yeah. So I never had no recollection of what would happen if I ever got knocked down. And just to know that, man, if I ever got knocked down, like I know that I could just, all right, cool, from the top, and keep going.
Still got that dog in you.
Yeah.
Knock them down back.
That's right. It gives me confidence for the next fight. And that's what makes the nerves less as well, is your past performances and experiences,
Yeah, and it's not like it was some bum. Like Luke is he's a savage also. Like you said, when you're fighting in one, like they are like the top. I know one always talks about we got the top strikers in the world. It's like they talk about it because they do.
Yeah.
Like, it is true.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I wish one was around when I was growing up as a kid, because I anybody who listens to the podcast knows I watched boxing growing up with my pops, right? Yeah. But when I started watching MMA, anytime wrestling would come on, that'd be his time to go get a beer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anytime anybody would start wrestling, we watch Muay Thai together. Oh, game over.
Yeah. He ain't getting up.
Yeah, he ain't getting up, exactly. All right. Well, Will, did you have anything else before we move on to this little game?
No, I don't.
All right. So, Eddie, we always love to end some of our interviews with a small game, right? If you don't mind, play along with us. We know you're from Vallejo, right? Yeah. You're one of the stars that's come out of Vallejo. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to see if you can guess this famous person coming out of Vallejo. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Yeah, your wife can play along too if she's listening. But here we go. All right. This famous rapper had a hit single, Tell Me When to Go, and is a big Bay Area sports fan.
E40.
That's correct. That is correct. E40. All right. So far,
what a tough one.
What a tough question.
You had to look like you had to think about it for a sec. Like, aren't you asking questions?
We got to start off with some soft tosses, guys. I don't throw out with the heaters right away. Okay, we got to warm up. All right, here we go. This famous Vallejoan is known for out-eating his competition, especially if it's hot dogs.
I forgot his name. It's the white dude that killed the Nathan Glizzies.
Yes. Yes.
Baby, you remember his name? I forgot his name.
Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut. Okay, see, I
That's-
told you they're not all gonna be easy, Will.
You're right.
He's
You're right.
laughing at my questions
Yeah, I
over
was
here.
talking smack too early.
All right. Look, here comes another easy one. All right. This influential rapper was a key figure in the hyphy movement and is known for his hit song "Thizzle Dance."
Mac Dre.
There we go. Okay, we got 2 right,
Yeah.
1 wrong. It's okay. Let's finish on top here. This is the last one. All right. This famous Vallejoan pitched for the Cleveland Indians, Milwaukee Brewers, and the New York Yankees.
CC Sabathia.
My guy, there it is. You're official.
Yes,
Proud Vallejoan over here. You're accepted, man. Great job. But man, this was a lot of fun. Man. This was a lot of fun, man.
Appreciate you coming on, man.
Hopefully you enjoyed hopping on as much as we enjoyed having you on, man. We got to learn about how you crush those ice cream cravings. How it is that the X-Men, the video games that you play, just in general. Like I said, we covered all the fighting, but everybody loves to learn about Eddie the person, right? And that's what's gonna create more followers and people that are gonna want to watch your fights, because there's more about you that they want to follow other than just the exciting fights that you put on, right? So thank you so much for opening up, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. And yeah, I had so much fun. I'm down to do this whenever. Just let me know.
Absolutely. Will, did you have anything else?
No, thanks again, man.
All right, everybody. Again, my name is Ramiro. That's my boy Will. On with Eddie, Silky Smooth Abasolo. Thank you so much. Did you have anything to plug before we go, Eddie?
Follow me on IG, Eddie's _ Abasolo _ show, and stay tuned because I might have some news coming up soon.
Ooh, we're excited. We're excited. And if anybody's near Pleasanton, California, check out Resistance Fitness Center as well. Again, great guy, Eddie. Thank you so much for hopping on. And thank you to all our listeners for checking out the special episode of Story of the Fight.
Thanks.